Aquarius, welcome to July. This is Gwendolyn. Welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome. This video is going to be a monthly Tarotscope for Aquarius for July, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the sky. We have a new moon in Cancer on July 12th, and we've just entered into eclipse season. So we've got a partial solar eclipse with this new moon on July 12th. And then we also have a full moon, which is a total lunar eclipse in your sign on July 27th. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of those, and then we'll get straight into the cards. Just to let some of you know too, I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter campaign for this tarot deck that I'm working on. It's an old Hollywood tarot deck, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. And I'm also offering at the beginning of July here some of my 3-card readings at a promo rate. I'm doing 25 of them at the $10 rate instead of $15, and I still have some of those available. So if you'd like to book one of those, I'll have a link up above to do that. So, with the new moon in Cancer, that's happening in your 6th house, Aquarius, and that's the house of work, of day-to-day schedules, routines, health, habits, all those kind of things that we do on a daily basis. And with a new moon, it's a good time to begin a new habit, a new routine. For some of you, it may be a new diet, or a new way of working, maybe taking on a new role at work. Really good time to set intentions for what you would like your day-to-day schedule, routine, and work to look like. So with a partial solar eclipse too, it can be a time where it's bringing things to the surface that are normally in our blind spot. Like you might have something where you've always wanted to have a certain schedule, but you haven't quite seen the way how to do it. And so this partial solar eclipse can bring some of that to illumination for you. You may get an aha moment where you didn't see something before and you see it now. And with this new moon in Cancer, there's a couple things going on with it in terms of what planets it is having an aspect with. It's in opposition to Saturn in retrograde, Pluto in retrograde. And Pluto is the planet of big explosions. I always use the image of a volcano with Pluto energy because it's sort of like everything that's been brewing beneath the surface explodes to the surface. It destroys everything in its path, and its function is to create new land and new life. So that is opposing the sun and the moon in Cancer. And the Sabian symbol that represents the degree that it's at says, or it shows, a prima donna singing. So there can be a lot of people competing for attention on stage. It could be like ego battles. Pluto is always about, struggle and conflict so that we can promote greater harmonies. So that's one of the things that might be going on, is there might be ego battles and power plays, that kind of thing. But on the same day, at the same time, there is a grand trine in Earth. We have Uranus in Taurus, we have Saturn in Capricorn, and we also have Venus in Virgo. So the other option, other than getting involved in those dramatic battles, is to just stay grounded and to observe more like an audience member of those things that are going on. So those are some choices around that new moon, especially if it has to do with things at work, because it's a new moon in your 6th house of service and work. And then on the 27th, we have a full moon, again a total lunar eclipse, and this is called the blood moon, and it's the longest lunar eclipse in 100 years. So it's really going to be about bringing feelings to the surface that have been unexplored for a while. Things that may have been buried, old traumas from the past, old feelings that are outdated for release. And the moon always has to do with our feelings and our emotions. And with this happening in your 1st house, Aquarius, it's related to feelings about the self and feelings about your identity. There may be feelings about who you are in the world that are ready for release and ready for to be replaced by something else. You could have some outdated emotions or deep feelings about yourself that are no longer relevant or no longer serving you. So a full moon is a time where you can complete things, you can release things. The spotlight's going to be on you in terms of your emotions and older things that you can release and move on from. So it could be a very healing time for you, Aquarius. So that's what's going on in the sky. And then for the cards, I see that we open the month. This is funny. I'm actually seeing that you want to go from being a bit serious to being playful, fun, and lighthearted. King of Swords is definitely you, Aquarius. And this is someone who is an expert in their field. They're experienced. They speak the truth. They're very logical, analytical, practical. And with this in reverse, it's someone who is overly serious, or it's someone who isn't speaking their truth. It's someone who may not be being truthful with themselves, or they can feel a little bit heavy, a little bit dour, a little bit overly mental. You know, their mind is guiding and controlling them, but not in the most beneficial way. They could be. Their mind could have a mind of its own in a certain way when this card shows up in reverse. And there's sort of a heavy energy, and I see him looking at the Fool saying, you know, why can't I just smell this rose and have this carefree attitude? You Aquarians love a sense of freedom, and that's what this card is about. It's about new beginning, beginner's mind. And I really see it with this new moon in Cancer, in your 6th house of health and work, that this could be a real opportunity for you this month. You could really cut loose from old things that held you back and begin something totally new. You know, have a clean slate. That's what this card's about. It's the 0 card. So it's like all things are possible. It's potential energy. It's the 0 where nothing is formed, and it's beginner's mind. And Fool is very lighthearted. He's playful. He's carefree. He's full of laughter. And it's just like beginning a new adventure. So what I'm going to say for the opening of July, this first week here, is it's a good time to let go of any seriousness and things that are holding you down, things that are occupying your mind, and really see that life is new every day. That's what the Fool, you know, is able to see. Every time that sun rises, he's refreshed and renewed and ready for the new adventure ahead. So see if you can embrace that energy, Aquarius. It's here for you. I see that you may be taking time out to reflect on something to do with a relationship, especially if it hasn't been as joyful lately as it has been in the past, or if your status in relationship is not bringing you as much joy, vitality, and radiance. 4 of Swords has to do with taking a time out. It has to do with reflecting on things, thinking things over, and when I see 4 of Swords with the Sun in reverse, I kind of see like you're maybe thinking about, why am I not happy? Or why am I not as happy as I could be? Why am I not as joyful and radiant as my life could be, full of sunflowers and relationships, you know, friendships or romantic relationships with the sun shining on you? And it kind of echoes for me this same theme that I'm seeing with the Swords energy, which is mental energy. It has to do with ideas, beliefs, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, your element, Aquarius. And it's surrounding these 2 cards, which really have to do with enjoying life, being sunny, carefree, being optimistic, having faith in life and the world. So I'm going to say, even though it may be difficult for you to take a time out, to take a retreat, you may have some resistance, fear, or doubt about taking a time out, it might be a good time to do that at the beginning of July, Aquarius, because an overly serious attitude is really preventing you from accessing all this joy, all this lightheartedness, this carefreeness, playfulness that really is sitting here waiting for you. And I also see that, again, this Swords energy is draining away happiness that is really available to you. This is 10 of Cups, which is the most amount of happiness on a card. It is reflective of emotional energy. Cups is where our heart is. And when this card's in the upright, it's like the end of the rainbow ends with you. But when it's draining out, the rainbow's pouring out. And what I'm seeing with this spread is that these are all swords energy. King of Swords in reverse, Knight of Swords upright, and Nine of Swords in reverse. It's the mind that is really causing this to happen. And what I'm going to say is that if you can get over whatever fears, doubts, or resistance you may have to taking a time out, to taking a breather, hanging your thoughts up on the wall, metaphorically, you can reflect on that and actually see what it is that's draining, what thoughts are draining your happiness away, Aquarius. There's all this happiness available to you, but there may be some ways of thinking, being overly serious, or in this case, putting the mind before the heart, that is causing this to happen. Or embroiling yourself in worry. This is Nine of Swords in reverse. You know, look at the difference between these two cards. They're both about thoughts, but this one is getting entangled in too many thoughts. Worry, anxiety, making mountains out of molehills, fighting a battle against yourself in your own mind. And this one is taking a time out. He's being peaceful. He is taking a step back from the action to gain strength and fight another day. So I'd really like you to think about, in what ways does your mind serve you this month? And in what ways is it draining your happiness away, Aquarius? There's a saying, which is very cliched, but it says that the mind is a wonderful servant, but a horrible master. And I'd like you to consider that, because you have a very developed mind. That's your element. And it serves you wonderfully. But in excess, in the reverse here, it's sapping, it's draining away. It's causing you to be overly involved in your mind and draining out your emotional energy and preventing you from what's sitting here waiting for you, which is full energy, carefree, freedom, adventure, faith, and radiance, joy, happiness. So I really encourage you to take a time out and think things over and think about how your mind, see if you can get more connected with your heart and let the mind be in a second place position. Because look at the end of the month here, you have Lovers showing up. And this is all about being open, being vulnerable, being authentic, sharing your heart with someone else, potentially making a decision regarding a love relationship. And I'm going to come back to that, but I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the other cards. It's the very center of your reading is Knight of Cups versus Knight of Swords. And I really feel like this says it all, Aquarius. Are you going to be the person who rushes into things and thinks of, you know, is concerned with being right, is concerned with having the sharp retort or the quick word, the quick reply without considering someone's feelings? That's Knight of Swords energy. Or are you going to embrace Knight of Cups energy, which is sensitive and caring and sharing your heart or receiving a love offer? That's what's here for you, and these two are kind of battling it out. It's kind of mind versus heart is what I'm seeing. And as long as this mind energy wants to be in charge, this is what happens. The emotional energy gets drained away, Aquarius. So just be aware of that. Again, that the mind can be a wonderful, wonderful servant, but it's a horrible master. So I'm going to encourage you to see who wins out in this battle, the mind or the heart. It's up to you. But considering all the swords energy, it may not be the best time to let the mind rule. Maybe try connecting with your heart more, and you've got a lot of things opening up. You've got 10 of Cups, the most amount of happiness available. Fool, being open, carefree, lighthearted. Sun, feeling vibrant, motivated, optimistic, sunny. And King of Cups, which is a love offering, wearing your heart on your sleeve, presenting and engaging with emotional energy. So a lot of good stuff. I also see Hierophant in reverse here. So this means that it may be doing something in an unconventional way for you, doing something that is not normal for you. Normally, Hierophant is about higher learning, connecting with our spirituality, our inner guide, And in the reverse position, it may mean being a little bit of a rebel. You know, bucking against conventional norms and traditions, doing things in a way that's different for you. So if you always rely on your mind as the way to get you through, I'm going to encourage you to do something different. Open and trust your heart. See if you can get comfortable in that, because there's good things ahead if you can do that. Focusing on this worry, anxiety is not serving you. It's only going to cause you to feel a loss, emotional loss, financial loss, physical loss. These all go hand in hand. When we are feeling, our thoughts influence our external circumstances. And this is a card where the external circumstances are reflecting mental gymnastics and excess of overthinking things. So I'm going to encourage you to take things slow, to embrace the lighter side of life. This could potentially be an earth sign person that you're dealing with. This could be a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. And this card really is about taking things slow, being grounded, being assured of your forward steps, not being anxious and not overthinking and not, again, letting that mind run away with itself. This is about being practical, being grounded, being solid. So with this in reverse, what these two are telling me, we've got 3 knights here. Knights mean experimenting with things, sometimes going to excess or sometimes not doing things enough. But what it's telling me is that this Knight of Swords energy is what's ruling. Thought, rushing, being sharp or cutting, and not giving the correct time or consideration to the heart or to practical matters, to going slow, to being careful and considerate of your own feelings as well as others. I mean, if you can correct that and put a little bit more attention to your heart and practical matters, look at what also happens. All of these correct. The sun shines again, you know, and this is relationship as well, which echoes down here. So you have some nice relationship cards, Aquarius, for July, but it will really require you to change your focus a little bit. And that's what this card's about too. This is always a choice of focus card. Do you want to focus on what is lacking, or do you want to focus on what is abundant? This is the spiritual world, and it's always there for you to comfort you. But sometimes we have to take our eyes and minds off the physical world and realize all the gifts that we have and that we have been given. So this card usually, if you practice gratitude and show appreciation for all the things that you do have, it can often get you out of this feeling of feeling left out in the cold or feeling like you've experienced a loss. And at the end of the month, with that total lunar eclipse in your first house of identity, it may be changing you. It may be stripping you down of all the old emotional stories from the past and opening you up to love, opening you up to feeling vulnerable, feeling open, feeling authentic, being willing to connect with someone, being willing to show someone your true self, even though your logical mind may say, oh no, I need to be guarded, I need to control things. This is saying, no, I'm willing to just show up. I'm willing to connect with someone with this heart energy. And guess what? I'm willing to be joyful and free and radiant despite what my mind says. You know, I'm willing to receive this love. So there's beautiful energy here for you, Aquarius, but it's almost like you have to get your mind in its right place, in its rightful place, not as the controller, but as the servant, in order to get to this. So I'm going to just leave you with these 2 cards head to head. Who's going to win, Aquarius, in July? Is it going to be thought or is it going to be emotion? And you get to choose that. So that's my reading for you, Aquarius, for July. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or share it with another Aquarius. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, you can always do that. I have hour-long readings for $45, relationship readings for $25, half-an-hour readings for $30, and I'm doing that promo on my 3-card readings for $10 for the first 25 people. Some of them have been booked, but there are some left, and I'll have a link up above if you want to grab one of those. And again, if you're interested in getting a copy of this old Hollywood deck, I've got Charlie Chaplin as Fool, Steve Reeves as Magician, Lillian Gish as High Priestess, and there's a lot more there. I've got Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall as lovers. I've got a lot of fun representations for this. So if you want to check out the Kickstarter campaign, I'll put a link below for that. And as always, I just want to thank everyone so much for watching. Have a wonderful July. Yours in the stars.